begin with our normal activities, which do any members have any questions or?
Actually, Pete's not here yet.
He
And
he sent me a message. He said he had a little uh a work dinner meeting and he was going to try and be in here. I asked him if he'd be available for Q&A stuff, and he said he'd try to make it. He does have like a dinner work commitment, so pending some of that. Um, Randy, did you have a question?
Yes, a couple questions actually. Probably the first one is ringer count on the number of when you're receiving a phone call. How do you set and increase the number of rings you have before it goes to voicemail?
Good question. Crickets.
I have no information on that.
Okay. I have another one just for filler.
Let's have it. Let's have it.
Okay. Oh, and do take me off co-host today. I'm not on my regular machine, so out.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. On
then you
maps.
better add me.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe I have already, Bob.
No, you have not.
Oh, okay. Well, then in that case, I will.
Real reason being monitoring the microphones.
Right. Oh no, there's no oh, where am I at? I'm in the wrong area.
Okay.
Oh,
While you're doing
Thomas,
that, I want to ask
what?
Russ a question.
Okay, rest of the question. On maps, it's hard for me, and I did try to bypass it on maps. If I want to go a specific direction on a specific route, Siri or on the maps will present me with maybe 2 to 3 different choices. But if I want to modify and maybe choose a direct route, like, if I pick one of the 3 choices, it seems like it'll route me on whichever way is the fastest way or whatever Siri thinks best. Is there a way to bypass? I've tried the option of adding a stop, but when I did that, to correlate or aligning with the direction and freeways I wanted to take, and toll roads I did want to also take, I would do that, but it would route me back over to Interstate 5, on different roads. So I I know with the Google Maps, I can actually drop or pick up the route on Google Maps and bring it over to align with the route I want. But is there any way on Apple Maps to set the way you want to go and go that way, and not be overridden by Siri thinking what's best? I'll mute.
We have both Pete and Ken online now.
Oh,
Oh,
well,
There he is. Pete, good evening, bud.
Hey there, how's it going?
Oh, just starting this up this October night. Just trying to answer a few questions. You want to repeat your question, Randy? Maybe Pete can shed some light on it.
Sure.
Hello from Istanbul.
Hey, Ken.
Istanbul, Ken. Great.
Oh my goodness.
So let me know when to start the question.
Go ahead.
Okay. Sure. On ringer count, how
Not
is
for
how is it?
long. The connection's really weak, and it's 5 a.m. here.
5 a.m. in Turkey. And you said, I think you said the connection's really weak
really
too.
weak, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see him. I think I think we lost him.
All right. Back to the question, Randy. Sorry.
Sure. On the phone count, the ringer count on your iPhone, you're receiving a phone call, and let's say it's set to only ring 3 times. How do I increase the number so it will ring up to 5, 6 times before it goes to voicemail? How do I adjust that? I've tried on my mother-in-law's phone. She's got the 15 Pro, a 14 Pro. 15 Pro. How it's got to be simple. I just can't find it. How do you increase the number of rings before it goes to voicemail? Incoming calls.
I don't know if I have ever
I know. I've never needed to
explored that
change it.
before.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, we hear 4 rings when we call my mother-in-law, but she only hears 3 rings. So then she'll end up calling us back, which is great. But anyway, at her end on an iPhone 15 Pro to increase the number of rings before it goes to voicemail.
That's a forever thing. When long before computers were here, you never heard the first ring if you were the caller.
Oh, Bob says you never hear the first ring.
Randy, it's
yeah.
It's probably a carrier setting.
Oh, carrier setting. Okay.
And
So
there'll
No,
probably
but
be
I
a
mean, you have
difference
to
between
contact the
Wi-Fi
carrier.
calling and there's probably a difference between Wi-Fi calling and cellular usage as well. I would imagine it's a whole different ring for both of those. So
Okay.
it looks like there's some digging to do there.
Absolutely. Okay, I'll check that. And thanks, Ken, for chiming in. Thanks, Pete. Wi-Fi carrier setting. So we're all 3 on the AT&T family plan. So we're not impacted.
Well, and I think Al just posted a link.
Oh, okay. I'll check it later. I'm on iPhone, so it's kind of hard for me to move around.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No carrier settings. Okay. All right. But I'll check the after the meeting. Thank you so much for hosting.
Sure thing. Yeah, that one's stumped me.
Did Thomas get the recording working okay?
I'm pretty sure I have the YouTube emblem at the top of the Zoom window and the beacon is moving.
Awesome.
I thought that was the
It's
indicator,
done.
correct? I mean, I went in and started it and then anyway, nonetheless.
It's working.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Perfect.
Barbara has a question. Hey, glad to have you here, buddy. Excuse me, I'm trying to be official.
Yeah, I have a question, and this is something that's happened both to my phone, which is a 12 mini, and to my partner's phone, which is an SE. And that is, we go back to look for a text message that we know we haven't deleted because we deliberately saved it because we wanted to, be able to go back to it. And sometimes the text messages aren't there. It'll be this long thread of messages, but the one we're looking for isn't there. Any idea why we might have missing texts when we haven't deleted them manually? This is in messages, of course.
This is something that another client brought to me this week, and it appears to be a glitch with an iOS update. It was right after the person updated. They called me and said, hey, my messages have gaps in them, or they said that today's Friday and I'm looking at my text message thread and everything since Wednesday has been deleted. And so I have nothing since Wednesday. So I have heard of this another time this week. I suspect it's something with the new iOS update. It did not happen to me, and I am not only updated to the latest iOS, but I'm participating in the beta as well. And I have not had that happen, so I could not replicate the problem. But this is the second time I've heard of that, and since the 18 update. Have you updated to iOS 18? I guess I should ask.
No, I was holding off until 18.1 because I think it was Ken that said it should be coming out, or Al, next week. And
It's
so
out.
I thought
It's out now, yeah.
Monday.
Okay, then that's probably not it then. Yeah, I guess it can't be related to an update.
Yeah,
Coming
unless
out
it's
on
a
the
previous one,
28th.
because it's happened off and
Pete,
on. So I'm sorry, Ken?
with your client, was it on iMessage blue text or green text or both?
Blue. It was blue.
It was
Wow.
the other person who was sending the text was also on an iPhone.
Oops.
Yeah, can't blame it on Android. Well, maybe it's worth reporting to Apple since you've heard it once before, Pete, and maybe it's worth reporting to Apple if there's enough people having a problem. Maybe they'll look into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this being the second I've heard of it. Yeah, it's probably worth rolling that up.
Okay,
or also maybe a quick discussion with ChatGPT, because ChatGPT does scrape Reddit, and on Reddit, these complaints usually get aired. So that's a quick way to kind of cut through and check out what Reddit is saying.
Pete, would you use something like Microsoft Pilot to do any of that kind of stuff? Was ChatGPT better?
Yeah, I suppose I should have said we'll get into more about
Okay.
ChatGPT and Copilot, but yeah, I suppose I should have said Copilot. The only thing is that Copilot is a Microsoft product, and I believe that unlike OpenAI, it is sandboxed a bit more than say OpenAI. So I know it draws from OpenAI, but also is probably got more rules applied to it because it's a Microsoft product than say ChatGPT. So something you shouldn't see too much restriction or bias for, but I would imagine if you ask a Microsoft product about an Apple product, it might say, I don't know.
Microsoft's a major investor in OpenAI, aren't they? Or are they just on the
Sure,
board?
all these tech companies are. It's just really the thing they've decided to spend all their money on. It's like they had all these big piles of cash, and they're like, okay, AI is what we can invest in. So, Barb Effenberger, great to see you. Let me give you a little call out, Barb. You made this for me a long time ago. I love this little pouch. It's just a little zipper pouch. It's got dice in it. We play a little dice from time to time, but I love this. The fact that you made it for me by hand. I think you made this for me 10 or 12 years ago, and I still rock it. So thank you very much.
Chris, you have a question.
Yes, two questions.
I do.
Oh.
Yes, I have two questions. The other one, the first one I asked Al earlier, but I'll see what you guys think. I upgraded to the Redwood on my MacBook Air, and my battery life really that night really went down much quicker than usual. And I was curious if that's something to be expected, or is there anything I can do about it? I did turn my computer completely off and then back on, and I don't know if that's made any change, but I wonder about your thoughts on that.
I'm gonna Google it and see if Redwood is being reported as higher power consumption. I'm curious myself. I hadn't heard that, so I was just gonna do a quick Google search there while we're talking about it. But I will say also, like, the biggest culprit for battery drain is usually screen brightness. And after an update, sometimes your screen brightness settings could be overridden or changed or whatever. But I that's something to check. I don't know if it has anything to do with your situation, but checking to make sure that your screen brightness is still on the ambient light sensor, and that it's still adjusting and only being bright when it has to be. I think that kind of thing is something that's well within your kind of control to investigate, but it could be that just Redwood's power consumption is far greater. But I'd be surprised if that were the case. But I'm kind of Googling around a little bit to see if
two things that are common on OS updates is the first, many times your Spotlight will re-index your entire drive, trying to get in, putting the feelers out for all of this data. But secondly, many times the early versions of the OS is not as efficient as later versions are. So those are two culprits, along, like Pete said, with screen time too, or screen brightness.
Okay. Thank you. My other question is more of a general, I'm just kind of wondering, companies always seem to encourage me to start using their app, like say Airbnb or Pete's Coffee, where I used to go on the website to do something. They're always asking me, use our app, it's easier, use our app, it's better. And even on some, you can't use the website anymore to reserve things or order things ahead of time. I'm just kind of curious what why they're encouraging me to start using the apps. And is there any problem with that?
You know what it's like? It's like when grocery stores started having you use a card to get the discounts, right? Lucky started that. I don't know if you remember, like the Lucky Rewards card. And at the time, I was a grocery manager at Lucky, and people were so upset about having to use a card and having to like write their name down to get the card. And I didn't understand at the time. Now I fully understand why people were mad about it. But in my youth, I didn't understand what the big deal was. But I see it now. The apps are the same thing. Companies can use apps to get so much more information from you than just a website. Apps will connect to your phone in different ways than websites do, and they'll also harvest data in different ways than websites do. So to a online retailer or to Airbnb, you know, any of these online services, having you in an app really bodes well for them, because they can extract so much more data from an app than they can a website visit. And they get persistent notifications, right? Now they know they've got you're in the app. You must enable notifications to be notified of your reservation or of your order. So now they can advertise to you almost in an unfettered way, where just visiting their website, they would never have that level of control. So while it is convenient for us sometimes, like for instance, I bank with Chase, and using the Chase app to check my balance is just default now, as opposed to pulling up chase.com website and checking it there. It's about the same number of clicks to get to the same information, but there's something about the app that's just so easy to use. It's on my homepage. So I think all these companies would love if you were in apps, because they can harvest so much more data and also market to you in more effective ways. So I think that's what's leading the push to get everybody in an app. It's just like that darn rewards card. They want to get into your data and be able to pull things out. That's why every time I download and install an app, I say ask app not to track as my first option. And that isn't a super big deal, but all it does is stops data from contributing to my ad profile. It really just stops data from doing that. But when you do install an app, it's asking you to enable location services so it can see your location when you're using the app. I mean, it's not good. You know, it's not great. It's like that rewards card. There's got to be a reason why these companies want you in those apps. But it's also, you know, when you slide the slider between convenience and security, it's also just very convenient to make an Airbnb reservation through an app. So it's kind of a win-win sometimes. But even Publix, even my grocery store here, they want you in the app, and you can control your things in the app. It's just, I think it's just the way of the world. I wish we could resist. I wish there could be a resistance. You know, like when the Lucky Rewards card first came around, there were people who refused to do it. So the company said, just scan one for them anyway, and don't ask them for their data. I wish we could resist, but I think we're just too far in now. World's too deeply ensconced in apps and stuff, where resistance is almost futile at this point.
Okay.
Hey, Pete, if you could elucidate a little bit more on the app not tracking, because the wording on there is real weird. And secondly, I would go through and explain, make sure that people don't always turn notifications on, because you just get inundated with it.
Oh yeah.
And there are some great apps that location services are great, like, you know, the All Trails app or something like that. So it's not just all apps are bad for as far as GPS.
Yeah, that's the second thing I was going to say is, for an app to get me to allow notifications, it has to be really important. I almost say no to every single app. And if I forget to say no and I get a notification from an app that I don't want, I immediately cancel it. I say, do not send me these notifications, because you will get inundated for sure. If you have 100 apps on your phone and they all want your attention, it's untenable. And then you strap one of these things to your wrist and you can't get any peace. Like, all these apps just want your attention. So I go on these crusades where I grab my torch and pitchfork and I hunt for these apps that are telling me stuff that I don't want to hear. And gosh, this campaign cycle, can we please stop with the text messages and emails for these campaigns? My goodness, I can't wait till the election is over and I can stop deleting all these spam messages that I get every day. But so I do not allow, so ask app not to track, basically saying, you know, these apps have an ecosystem where they can weave through each other's data. For instance, Google AdSense has this big API where they can allow somebody completely unrelated, let's just say Peloton, for instance. You download the Peloton app for your exercise bike because now you even need an app to ride your exercise bike. You download the Peloton app, and it's gonna say, ask app not to track, or it's okay to track. When you say ask app not to track, you're just saying, no, do not weave around a bunch of advertising engines and show me ads that are more targeted to me. You're basically just saying, just show me whatever ads are default. I don't want you to track my purchasing habits and stuff. It is confusing because the app itself isn't necessarily looking into your purchasing habits or your purchasing preferences, but it is connecting with services that do that. And these services like Facebook and Google are where they harvest all your info, and then they sell it to Peloton or other companies. And when you say ask app not to track, it's basically saying, no, don't connect with those other services and try to get me relevant ads. I just want to see whatever the default is. I've had arguments with friends who go, if you're going to see ads anyway, why not just see ads of things you want and have them be more relevant for you? Because I see ads of things that I'm not interested in at all. But my counterpoint to that is, I don't want to participate in ads at all. I don't want to make it permissible to give my information and allow companies to profile me and then advertise to me. Now, again, just like wanting to opt out of apps, it's a lost cause. It's almost futile to resist at this point, but I still do sometimes. I still resist. I still say, no, don't. Like, for instance, I'll put the link in the chat, or Al, you might even be faster, but you can go to Google and see your entire profile. It knows your age, it knows the things you're interested in. And when you see that, it's a little off-putting. It's like, oh gosh, it tells you all the things Google knows about you. I turned it off immediately. I said, I don't want Google to know anything about me. So I turned it off. And I'm more vigilant when I see those questions pop up, like, can Google view this, or can't? I try to say no as often as possible, but that's a personal preference. I really have a bias against the Googles of the world, just because we are their revenue stream. We are their money, we're their data. And I just don't like that. There's something that feels underhanded about that. People think Google is free, but it just really isn't. And they're not upfront about that, in my opinion.
You're the product, not the customer.
Yeah, it's really, it's kind of creepy in a way.
Hey, Pete, Apple is getting a little bit of pushback from the new thing on Safari, where you can block things that are going. If you can go over that a bit too. I mean, it's encouraging and I think it's great, but I don't know that people know it's there.
Yeah, if you've upgraded to iOS 18, Safari has a new magic wand tool where basically you can click this tool and then like wave your finger over something and it'll disappear off the website. While we're talking about it, if you have upgraded to iOS 18, you can open Safari. I'm just going to open Safari here and go to any website, doesn't matter. And then in the address bar of Safari, where you would normally type a URL, you'll see to the left of that bar is a rectangle with like 2 lines under it. If you tap that, it brings up a new menu. On that menu is something called hide distracting items. And if you click that, you can sort of tap on anything on the web page and it'll take it out of your way. So you don't have to look at that item anymore. The backlash they're catching is advertisers don't like that. They're like, wait a minute, you're allowing people to touch the ad and delete it from the website so they can browse the website in peace. And Apple's saying, yeah, we are. And the advertisers are saying, no, you can't do that. We need our ads to be on the website. So I find that it doesn't work very well, probably because of the restrictions that Apple is under not to allow us to delete ads. So there are times when I try to get something distracting off the website, but it takes away the whole page or something.
Well, and if you reload the page, it resets anyway. And that's what they're going to start doing, is doing automatic page reloads.
Any questions about that? We just did a real quick walkthrough there, but did anybody try and didn't see it, or anybody get some frustration there?
I put a link in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, you can elaborate there from the link, I think, and learn a little bit more about that. But so one thing about the notifications. sorry, I just want to go back to notifications for 1 second and say, did you know? I'll give you a quick did you know. I used to go into my settings and then into notifications, and I used to go through and look at all the options for toggling off or toggling on notifications. You actually don't have to do that. When you get a notification, you can long press the notification. A submenu will pop up, and right then and there, you can say, do not notify me from this app anymore. To me, that's I'm emotional, so I do it in the moment. I'm like, this app is sending me something, but I long click and say, never send me anything again. And I think that's the way to do it. Don't tell yourself someday I'll go in and clean up my notifications. When you get them, if you're not interested in that particular app's what that particular app has to say, immediately disable the notifications right from the notification is my advice. That's what I've been doing, and I love how few notifications I get now.
And explain the desktop procedure too for doing that too, please, since long press doesn't work.
Oh yeah, if you're on a desktop and you see those notifications fly in from the upper right-hand corner, and it happens to be from an app that you didn't ask for notifications or you don't want them anymore, there should be a pull-down menu. I believe the default is like snooze or something, but you can pull down that menu, and I think it says manage notification. And when you click that,
I think it says options, but the big thing is just don't hit the X up there, because that only gets rid of that one notification.
Yeah. It's like spam email. If Old Navy emails you 7 times a week, you can go to the bottom of the email and say unsubscribe. And so when I open my inbox, there's very little in there. But when my wife opens her inbox, she scrolls through miles of JCPenney and Old Navy and Publix. And I'm like, just go to the bottom and unsubscribe from those. You don't have to have all those. But these companies, I guess the point of all that, just to wrap that up and put a bow on it, is these companies are using these devices as inroads for your eyeballs, right? All they want is to be where your eyes are looking. That's all these companies care about, is to be where your eyes are looking. Some of the greatest minds of our time are spending their days figuring out how to maximize ad views. This is not a good thing. This is a bad thing, but it's the reality that we live in. So I don't like to accept anything I didn't ask for. Like if there's ads or any data coming in, I'm like, where did this come from and when did I ask for it? And if I didn't ask for it, let me shut it down.
What would be an example of a app that you would allow notifications?
I think like my mortgage company, there's an app for that, and I do like getting notified once a month, like, hey, your check or your payment's going to draft in 7 days. I find utility in that. It's that's a notification that I can nod along to and go, okay, good. I'm glad I know that now. There's others, like obviously my calendar. And did you know that what I did turn off is mail. I don't get any notifications for mail. I visit my mailbox when I want to check my mail, but I don't allow mail notifications. There's lots of other things too, utilities that I use often. Looking kind of at my notifications, like my home app. There's Amazon I do allow, and stuff like that. Like Chick-fil-A. You have to allow those because when you get there, it pops up and says your order is ready and stuff. So there are things that have utility, but then there are things that just want to bug you. News apps are notorious for that. When news apps think they have a juicy headline, they show it to you. And when you click it, there's an ad that you have to watch before the juicy headline. But those are kind of the worst.
I think it's very much the signal to noise ratio. I know some people that just get so many notifications and then they miss the real ones because they're just bogged and buried. And I equate it to the guy in school years ago that had the watch that beeped every hour. He never heard it because he's so used to it, and everybody else hears it.
Yeah. Sometimes we have conference calls and one person on the call will have a low battery in their smoke detector. And then you hear that chirp over. We're like, who is that? Nobody will cop to it though, because the person that it's happening to doesn't even hear it. And one day I'm like, everybody mute. Now you unmute. Okay, now you unmute. We figured out who it was by letting them unmute. And the guy he's like, I cannot believe it. I don't even hear what you're hearing. It was interesting how he just didn't even hear it anymore. That's how notifications get if they're just
that could be an age issue too, because the high frequency.
Could be. Oh, that was a long soliloquy answer to a short question.
It's important. We're all dealing with it. You
Yeah.
know, yeah, we're constantly bombarded by information, and it's important to set our focus modes and manage our notifications. It's otherwise you just never get anything done. It's intrusive.
And I agree with you, Al. I try not to be like, I try to bring tech to people in the kindest way possible. Like, I try not to shame people into their tech or whatever. But like, even at church, like, there's a lot of people who will make a noise and then scramble, to do. And I'll say to them, like, if I know that, if I'm friendly with them, I'll say, hey, you can set an automation that makes it so your phone will go on do not disturb when you get here. And as soon as you leave, it goes off. They're like, what? That's impossible. You show them this quick automation, and there's so much utility in those little things, like I saw, I was sitting on a plane and looked over. I can't help but watch the way people use their tech. I don't care what the content is. I'm not snooping to read their emails. I just want to see what they're doing and like how they use it. And this lady sat there and was closing Safari tabs one by one. She had like 112 tabs open, and I go, those Safari tabs get out of control, huh? She goes, yep, at the end of every day, I have to sit here and spend 10 minutes closing all these stupid tabs. But well, if you long press the button, it says close all tabs. She didn't know that. So I was like, look, can I just show you one thing? Let me show. It's just like, oh my gosh. I'm a lifesaver all of a sudden. But I do think, there is a lot of utility packed into these things that you can use to your advantage. But the opposite is also true. If you leave it unchecked, this device will compete for your attention constantly and drive you crazy as a person. Isn't this a different tone than we had 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, we're like, how do we turn on all the notifications? And yes, I want everything. And now we're like, no. In fact, the other day, I just really got to a point where I wished phones didn't exist anymore. I mean, we all remember the days before phones existed. I was like, take me back. I do not want all this junk bothering me anymore.
I can relate.
All righty. I don't see any other hands up. Are there any other questions? Well, Al, do you want to take it away with our
All righty.
chip news and
Okay. Let me see here.
think you're a co-host. Oops, you're not a
Probably
co-host.
be a little bit abbreviated so we can get all this evening's events in. Okay.
While you're doing that, Al, I'll just say, like, the whole thing about utility, it's the same challenge we're facing with AI. It's like there's so much AI novelty, but so little AI utility. It's hard to separate, when you hear the news, or AI seems so sensational these days, but
Yeah.
just finding the utility is not easy.
Well, I want to say good evening to everybody, and happy 40th birthday to MacNexus. Welcome to our Apple Tech News and Rumors segment of our meeting. Month of October was filled with a few interesting tidbits. First up, if you're wondering about how Apple's financial health is doing, on Monday in NASDAQ trading, shares of Apple Inc. Rose to $236.48, new all-time closing high. Apple currently has a market value of almost $3.6 trillion, making it the world's most valuable company. Ooh la la, never gets old. Next, from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, Apple iOS 18.1 is set to launch on October 28th, featuring an initial wave of Apple intelligence tools. This update's designed for iPhone 15 Pro and 16. It'll include enhanced writing features for rewriting, summarizing, and proofreading, alongside a new Siri interface. Users can expect notification summaries for apps. There will also be a cleanup tool in Photos that removes unwanted elements with generative AI. Our own Bob White's demoed the feature in beta for a few of us, and it looks promising. Some advanced features like ChatGPT support and Genmoji will debut in iOS 18.2 in December, while a comprehensive Siri overhaul is planned for 2025. When Apple Intelligence first launches, not everyone's going to be able to access the first wave of AI capabilities. Here are Apple's 6 requirements you'll have to meet before you can get the new Apple Intelligence features. First up, the Apple Intelligence requires a lot of processing power. As a result, AI features are exclusive to a limited set of compatible devices. So here's what you need for like I said earlier, for an iPhone, any iPhone 16 series model or 15 Pro or Pro Max. For an iPad, any model with an A17 Pro, M1, M2, or M4 chip. And for Macs, any model with an M1 or later chip. This came from a 95 Mac. Here's the slide with a more detailed list of every device Apple Intelligence will run at launch. If your device is not on this list, unfortunately, you're probably you're out of luck this time around.
That's a pretty big deal, Al. If you, I don't know if you want to go back
Yeah,
to that one slide just for a second.
yeah, of course.
That's a very short list of iPhones that will be able
Yeah.
to support the Apple Intelligence. So it's maybe something to think about there. The NPU power required to run these AI commands in the background is, we're seeing it in the computer industry everywhere. It's really high hardware demand. That's why companies like NVIDIA are ones to invest in right now, because they're creating the GPUs and NPUs that push AI. So this is a very short list. And if you are excited about some of the things you've seen on the keynote or heard here, take a look at this list to see if you will be participating or not, because this is a very limited list. So just wanted to call that out again.
Yeah, very good. The second requirement is following, you need these software iterations. Obviously, iOS 18.1, iPad OS 18.1, and Mac OS Sequoia 15.1. The third item is, although storage requirements for the iPad and the Mac are not currently known, Apple's confirmed that iPhone users will need 4 gigabytes of free storage to enable the AI features. And fourth, this I may have to preface, this article was posted on October 18th, and I assumed it was it used iOS 18.1 public beta. I'm not sure if the final release version will require what I'm going to say here. Once you install the necessary software update, there's another key step before getting the AI features, and that's a wait list. Apple used a wait list for the AI access in iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. After installing the update, you'll need to join the Apple Intelligence waitlist from inside the Settings app. If demand is high, you may need to wait a bit before gaining access, but hopefully it won't be too long.
I'm pretty sure that's only the beta, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. But being that, this article posted on October 18th and they're planning on the release on the 28th, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But it's good likelihood this won't be a factor.
When I joined the waitlist for the beta, it was probably a day or two before I was accepted. But the problem is you don't get a notification. You have to keep going back in here and see whether or not it's been activated. So if you are on the waitlist and you've been waiting for a notification, go back in and check it out.
When I joined the waitlist, Pete, I got an email in about 4 or 5 minutes saying you're approved.
Okay. That could have been the case too. I just either didn't see the email or just glazed past it, but yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, once 18.1 drops, there are going to be a ton of people not just downloading it, but they'll be testing it and they'll be doing all kinds of stuff. So they're going to be overloaded in the beginning. And I think they want to make sure that it's just spaced out a little bit.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. If you plan to use the Apple Intelligence across multiple devices, you only need to join the waitlist once, according to this. After gaining access on one device, every other compatible device tied to your Apple account will be onboarded as well. The fifth item at launch is Apple Intelligence will only support the US English. More languages are coming on in 2025. Localized variants of English will arrive in December in the UK, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and South Africa. And the final item is on launch, Apple Intelligence will not be supported by users in the EU or China. Beyond the Apple Intelligence capabilities, iOS 18.1 includes a few other new features for iPhone users. Here's a quick roundup of some of the non-Apple Intelligence features coming for the in 18.1. One of the changes in iOS 18.1 is the new control center that is fully customizable. Apple's making a couple of changes based on user feedback. First, there are now dedicated toggles for all the connectivity controls that were previously only available in the larger all-in-one connectivity widget. iOS 18.1 also includes a new reset control center option in the settings. Tapping on this will reset the control center layout to factory defaults, allowing you to completely start afresh. As promised at the last WWDC, iPhone mirroring now supports the ability to easily drag and drop files between your iPhone and your Mac. This feature requires both iOS 18.1 and Mac Sequoia 15.1. Then when you're using iPhone mirroring, you can wirelessly move files back and forth just by dragging and dropping. You can get there's a YouTube video here, that link up there that will give you a quick look at that. And I'll of course post it in the chat notes. Next is call recording and transcription. This feature was initially billed as being exclusive to the iPhone 15 and 16, but Apple has expanded support to the iPhone XS and newer. While on a phone call, you can initiate call recording by tapping a new icon that appears in the upper left corner of the interface. Your phone will then inform the other party that the call is being recorded. In addition to recording the call, your iPhone will generate a transcript of the call after the fact. That transcript, there's only like 5 languages supported: English, Spanish, Mandarin Chinese, Cantonese, and Korean. So, it's interesting. Those markets must be pretty large for Apple. iOS 18.1 also makes a big change to the iPhone's NFC chip. For the first time, Apple's opening up the NFC chip to third-party apps. This will allow for third-party developers to implement contactless payments and features that exist separate from Apple Pay and the Apple Wallet. According to Apple, developers will be able to tap in the iPhone's NFC chip for things like payments, car keys, student IDs, and more, as you can tell in that list. Finally, iOS 18.1 also brings deeper integration with between Apple Music and TikTok. In the Music app, you'll see a new button that lets you easily share a song or album directly to TikTok. You can post it to TikTok as a video or photo, or send it to someone as a private message. If you choose to post it as a photo or video, TikTok will also automatically add the song to the post, or so other people will hear the audio when they view it. There's also something. Here's something I found in recent Federal Trade Commission development. A click to cancel law was passed last month in California, and now the FTC has ratified a federal rule designed to achieve the same goal. The idea of both is to force companies to make it as easy to cancel an online or app subscription as it is to sign up in the first place. Both were introduced in response to sketchy practices by companies designed to make it as difficult as possible to unsubscribe. It's common for subscriptions to automatically renew unless canceled, which the FTC refers to as, quote, negative option. That is, the subscription is opt-out rather than opt-in manually. They have the new rule imposes 4 conditions on all subscriptions. The first being clearly and accurately disclose all the material facts. The second being clearly disclose the fact that the subscription will continue until canceled. And the third, get, quote, express informed consent, unquote, to automatically renewal. And the fourth is make it as easy to cancel subscriptions as it was to sign up. Provided there's no legal challenge, the rule will take effect in 6 months. But they're already complaining, I'm sure. On October 15th, Apple unveiled a new generation of iPad mini upgraded to be powered by the A17 Pro chip. That's the same chip as last year's iPhone 15 Pro. It means the iPad mini can support the full suite of Apple Intelligence features. Apple Insider has a thorough breakdown of the iPad mini 7 versus the mini 6. I know Ken and I are interested in this. Here's a quick look at the specs of the new Mini 6 and the old Mini 6. While it's clear the iPad Mini 7 is a spec bump update rather than something completely new, there are some reasons to consider it if you're in the market or love the form factor like I do. The first is, as I stated earlier, the A17 Pro processor will allow use of the Apple Intelligence. The second being the memory options have increased. The third, Wi-Fi 6E will enhance connectivity if your network supports it. The fourth is Bluetooth 3.5.3 versus the Bluetooth 5. The fifth, support for Apple Pencil Pro. The sixth item is their implementation of USB-C is now 10 gigabyte instead of the old 5 gigabytes. It's great if you're moving large files. And seventh item is external display will allow one 4K screen at a higher 60 hertz frame rate. That's as opposed to the 30 hertz. The price of the iPad Mini 7, the base model is a $499, as it seems as the old one, but this one comes with a higher 128 gigabyte starting capacity. If you upgrade to the 256, that's going to cost you $599. To the 512 gigabyte, $799. And of course, if you're going to go cellular, still costs an extra $150 across all models. With the release of iOS 18.1 next week, they'll be introducing a suite of advanced hearing and health capabilities to the AirPods Pro 2. The timing of the update was confirmed by reviewers who were given early access to the AirPods Pro 2's new hearing health features. The update would include three core features, one hearing protection, hearing testing, and hearing aid functionality. Apple obtained the FDA authorization for the new features last month. According to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, Apple's new wave of hardware product launches could happen as soon as the week of the 28th, with the M4 Mac models arriving as part of a very busy week. The new Mac hardware updates include a new Mac Mini, upgrades to the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros. While the exact time isn't known, it could possibly be just a week away. Apple has a history of preferring to hold events and product launches on a Tuesday, making the most likely day for the hardware introductions. It's still unclear whether Apple will hold an actual event for the Mac launches or if it will proceed with a press release type introduction. And finally, tonight, Apple is the most admired company in the world for the 17th consecutive year, according to Fortune magazine. Once again, the company finished first in the magazine's annual ranking of corporate reputation based on a poll of 3,700 executives, directors, and analysts. Some of the criteria in the poll include social responsibility, financial soundness, innovation, and global competitiveness. And for the fifth year in a row, Amazon and Microsoft round out the top three. All the links generated tonight will be distributed in a PDF by Bob White in his normal MacNexus email blast. I'll post it sooner on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late-breaking curated Apple and tech news and support. We encourage everyone to come check it out. Back to you, Thomas and Pete.
Thank you, Al. Astonishing job as always.
A lot of stuff.
You always hit all the important stuff.
There's a lot.
It's not easy to put all that together, so thank you. It's great. Well,
all righty. Since I know you're you're on the East Coast, and we appreciate you staying late up for us, we can either run our quick annual membership script, or we can let you do your presentation there, Pete. I probably have cut into your time a little bit. You want to go and start, or?
Oh yeah, how long is your the affair
This
you
is
have?
typically,
3 or 4 minutes.
yeah, it's not really very long.
I don't mind waiting if that's the
Okay.
easier way,
Yeah,
or yeah,
great,
either
great.
way is fine.
Okay,
So, so you're gonna go ahead and wait then, Pete?
yeah, he's gonna
Okay,
wait.
great. All right. Yeah, my mic was muted. I was
Okay.
talking to you, but because I try not to make noise. Very well. Now I would like to call our annual meeting to order. This is the annual meeting. The notice of the annual meeting was distributed via an email blast to all members on November 26th of 2024. Mr.
September.
Resch, would you like to read the minutes now, please, sir?
Kidoki, the annual membership meeting of MacNexus on October 25th, 2023. Annual membership meeting was called to order by Vice President Thomas Spencer at 8:35 p.m. Vice President Spencer demonstrated proof that the notice of the annual meeting was sent to the members via an email blast on August 7th, 2023. Secretary Bob Ress read the minutes of the 2022 annual meeting. Al Tribbett moved that the meeting minutes be adopted. Tim Mullins seconded the motion. The motion was approved by a voice vote. Lisa Goodwill presented the treasurer's report. It showed an ending balance today of approximately $36,399.44 on September 30th, 2023. Copies are available from Lisa Goodwill at her email address. Bob White announced that as election commissioner, he had completed the tally of the ballot. The result of the balloting for officers and directors for 2024 are: for President Ken Spencer, for Secretary Bob Rett, for Director at Large Randy Hare, for Director at Large Mary Wanderstein. There were 73 ballots cast by election ballots. No paper ballots were cast this year. Vice President Spencer called for old business. There was none. Vice President Spencer called for new business. There was none. Business having been concluded, Al Tribbett moved to adjourn. Tim Mullins seconded the motion. The motion was approved by a voice vote. The meeting was adjourned at 8:44. There were 41 attendees by Zoom. That's it, Thomas.
Hello, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as read, or unless there's some.
Al
And
Trivet, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as read.
And is there a second out there?
Lisa Goodwill, I will second the motion.
Oh, saw your hand, Richard. Forgive me. I
Oh,
was like,
sorry, Rich.
no, that's all right. It's grand. Great. We have a motion and a second, and I'll call for a vote, please. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Seeing as this is a unanimous vote, the minutes are accepted as recorded. Lisa, would you like to present us your report, please, ma'am?
Yes. Do you have
Oh, crap.
the
I don't.
report? Oh,
I
okay.
don't. Sorry.
Let's see if I can share my screen. Wait a minute. Let's put this up.
She might have to be made a co-host.
I think I can do it.
I believe she
green
does. She is
button.
a co-host, Ken.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming up with all that stupid stuff.
Oh, crap.
Let me just see what happens here. I'm getting a lot of exclamation points. Al, do you have it handy at all?
I'm looking here.
I apologize. I wasn't.
Well, I apologize. I didn't.
Let's just read it and
Yeah, I think that's what's going to have to
get on with
happen
it.
here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to round here to the nearest 100s just to make it easier. At the beginning of the year, we had a cash balance of $34,700. To date, we've collected in income $7,700, mostly membership income, of course. We have expended $10,700, seems to be a theme. So our ending cash balance as of September 30th, $31,700. And if anybody has any questions, I can entertain them now. Feel free to email me, lgoodwill127@gmail.com, and we can discuss. I can send you copies, whatever.
Seeing
And
no
that's
question.
the treasurer's report.
Thank you so very much, Lisa. I'll remember if this happens again to have them all available.
Sorry.
And oh no, I'm such a goose that way. So, Mr. White, would you like?
Well, hey, we had an election.
Oh, good.
Anyway, there were 68 ballots cast altogether, which was 28% of the eligible voters, making it a good election. Well, for you, Tomas, as
Yeah.
vice president, 100%.
Oh my God.
For Al, same thing. And for the
Hey.
bylaw revision, same thing. There was one abstention on the vice president and 4 abstentions on the bylaw revision. There were not any no's on anything. That's my report.
All right. Well, we thank you very much, and we really thank you for all your hard work. Trust me.
Well, hey, you got the job for 2 more years. So
hopefully, I won't muck it
Both
up
of
as
us,
bad as
yeah.
today. Yeah. All right. Call for old business. Is there for any old business we need to go over? I'm seeing no one, hearing no one. And is there any new business that someone would like for us to entertain? Seeing none, I will accept a motion to adjourn if there's one out there.
this
Al
is
Trivet?
Bob White, and I will move that we adjourn the meeting.
All right, Bob.
I'll second.
Move, and Al Trivet seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
And
Aye.
opposed? And I gravel this meeting closed. Thank you
Till
very
next year.
much. Till the next go, yes.
Yeah.
Very well, with that done, Pete, it's your rodeo. Oh, is he still here? I thought I just saw him in my screen.
Yeah.
There he
Oh,
is.
Yes, I'm here. Double muted,
okay.
but
I just
my first, oh, this is a rodeo. I didn't know there would be horses involved. I'm gonna go change my shirt. Thank you, Thomas, and
oh, brilliant.
thanks for having me. I'd probably say it too often. It's my favorite, my favorite hangout with this group. You ask the tough questions, and I think that's great. I really like interacting here. So as always, my presentation is please interrupt me anytime, hands up or clear your throat or whatever. But I always like to hear feedback or get you involved whenever possible. And if you feel like it might be a distraction or you're not sure, do it anyway. And if it's a distraction or it wasn't good timing, I'll handle that. But I do love to hear from you. So I may just start off by asking some questions because it's been an AI roller coaster for the past 50 years in some ways, and the past few months or even a year in other ways. It's really been fascinating, especially if you tuned into Elon Musk's event where now full 6 foot tall humanoid robots will be available to consumers for around $20,000, the price of an expensive golf cart. That these robots will stand, sit, walk operate their hands like human beings. And the optimism is that they'll be able to, do everyday tasks that are difficult for some. They'll provide abilities to others who don't have them. Depending on whether it's a flop or or whether they really have some of this stuff figured out, it remains to be seen. But boy, did that ever fast forward way faster than I thought. 6 foot tall humanoid robots for 20 grand that can make breakfast and clean it up is the claim. I've been on the earth a lot of years, and I still can't make breakfast and clean it up properly. So I don't know if a machine can do it. More power to them. But AI will definitely. It's been a roller coaster and will be a roller coaster from now on. The toothpaste will never be back in the tube. And AI is already connected with pretty much everything we do, driving and this Zoom, AI and Zoom are tightly woven together. There's a lot of things that AI is weaving itself into, and some of those things have great utility and some don't. Some of those things are obviously obvious to you and some aren't. So I'm curious, can anybody tell me a little bit about
Ken has a
maybe
question there.
Yeah, 1 sec. I was just gonna
Oh,
tee this
okay,
up.
excuse me.
No, it's okay. I'll just tee this up. I'll just say I'll reach out to y'all, and the hand up is a great way to start. But what is some utility you found with AI, if any? The novelty is out there, and we can all probably recall some novelty we found with AI. But any utility, and then can I see that hand up? If your voice, if you have enough
Yeah.
voice.
So, well, first off, I think AI it's weird because it really only can tell us stuff that's already known. To go beyond that will be very interesting in the future. But what I want to know is, if I buy the Tesla bot, can I teach it to make other bots, and then I become a rancher?
I think yes. I think we could, or teach it to make widgets, pack them up, and ship them to people. I mean, I do believe there is some angle of money making there. Well, anybody find utility in AI in anything? Right? Is there? I have a great example. I have one. But no, we don't even need me to kick it off. I see some hands out there.
Yeah,
Donna.
I use it a lot for genealogy. You can put in a legal paper, and it can transcribe it for you from handwriting and it can summarize it, so you only get the bullet points of this very complex document. I put in information about an ancestor, and they can give you a summary of that person's life, or they can, if you enhance it, you can have them tell stories about your ancestor for writing down. Just so many things that I use it for. I can't even think of how many.
I like your example where what I love about AI is some of the biggest utilities or some of the biggest breakthroughs that I think we've seen from AI really aren't the huge technological feats, but it's like something small, like kind of like what you just said, is it'll go out, get information, and since it's a large language model, and since it understands how we receive language, it is so much better than the Google of yesterday, because Google, you really were forced to piece together a bunch of stuff that, now there's a machine doing that. So to your point, you say something, I want to know more about this, or tell me more about that. And it does all the Googling for you. So in some cases, it's not a astonishing technological feat that's happening. It's just some program doing something way more efficiently than we can. And that is, like Reddit, for instance. Reddit is, I don't know, there's some crazy statistic. I don't know, Al, if you want to pull it up, how much is put on Reddit each day? Like the whole amount of text in the earth up to 1984, something like that, gets put on Reddit every day, right? It's sort of like the collective text we've known since 1984 now is posted every day on Reddit because of the billions of users or millions of users or whatever. But that's just saying like, okay, Reddit's a big place. There's a lot of subreddits, but now you have like AI going in, scraping all that information. And now you can ask AI the question. And because it has all the information from a vast and daunting portal like Reddit, and it can cut right through and get it for you. To me, that's not necessarily a technological feat, right? It's not a 6 foot tall robot making eggs in the morning, but it is like a huge utility and time saver to have that kind of firepower at your fingertips. So I think while that is, is like not a huge technological advancement, but for something to be able to aggregate all that data for us and understand our language model, like with Google, have you ever tried to Google things, but your sentences don't make any sense because you're trying to dumb it down for Google, like when Tom Cruise film, it's like, you can't just ask it regular questions. But with AI, I think one of the things that makes it more accessible for all of us is it understands our language and understands how we like to receive language back. So I think for things like genealogy, like your example, it's incredible to be able to let it aggregate stuff for you and you don't have to do all of that hard research. So I love that. What else? Any other utility from AI, or has it all been novelty so far? My favorite, to me, it's mostly novelty. In fact, I really like arguing with ChatGPT. I like cornering it and breaking its logic, and I can fairly easily. That's why my faith in AI is relatively low right now, because I can still pin it to the mat with relative ease. But there is utility in that. Like, for instance, I may not use AI as the oracle people seem to think that it will be, but it'll summarize the heck out of a meeting for me. I mean, that Copilot will be in an hour-long meeting where 9 people are talking, and it's really important stuff. And I have a pen and a yellow pad next to my computer at all times, and I do try to take notes, but nothing beats a full bulleted summary by AI, naming the people who were talking, right? There's 9 people on the call. They're just speaking up willy-nilly. They don't have to push a button or anything, but AI says, Pete says this, Jeff says that, Amy says this, Amy replied to Jeff and said this. It's like really astonishing the level of note taking you can get. And by the way, it isn't just a single output. It's not like a printed sheet that you can look at. You can say, summarize these notes for me, but give me the top 3 important things from this meeting, and it'll figure out what got talked about the most or what was a critical decision, and it will go back and bring those to light. That has been a superpower for me at work, being able to utilize AI to that extent, and the utility of that sort of thing has been amazing. To summarize those calls. And I have a bit of executive dysfunction. Like I have a lot of atypical neurology, and on a meeting, taking notes for the most important thing of my life, I'm horrible at it. I'll tune out and start drawing R2-D2 on my paper, even though it's the most important thing ever. So note taking is what I needed help with, and AI delivered. So for me, that's been my hero, my AI hero so far. It's just summarizing the notes and giving them to me in a way that I can chop up the data and ask it questions about what was said and get amazing results from it. So for me, that was huge.
Pete?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on that, I'm just wondering if you've had to learn how to ask AI to do stuff. And one of the things I'm thinking is, you said, give me the top 3 things from the meeting. And I'm guessing if you don't do that, it's you need to learn how to set the limits, I guess. And it's a whole language to learn how to do that. I would think that some people are better at than others.
You're absolutely right, Mary, that you would think that AI would exist so we wouldn't have to learn the language of using it, right? A large language model should be able to take pretty much anything we say and understand it. However, as you very astutely pointed out, you really have to unlock the code to get AI to do what you want it to do. Not necessarily from meetings. Here's where the fragmentation exists that I find difficult. And the reason I've recommended Copilot, here's where the fragmentation exists is this AI is now a product. That may be the worst thing that happened to it for us, because now companies are competing to put that product in front of us, right? Microsoft has their own AI property. It's called Copilot. And I know it's weird that Pete recommended Microsoft's Copilot as the as the thing. I'll get to that in a second. But there's all these companies now competing for your eyeballs, right? They all want you. And AI, Apple is one of them. Apple is no exception. They'll want you to opt into their AI ecosystem, as Microsoft has one. There are standalone ones like ChatGPT. There's large language model. There's the competition. There's image generator competitions. There's just a lot of different ways AI comes to market, and they compete with each other over your eyes or your dollars. If you're not paying for AI, you're paying for it with your eyes. And when you look at something, AI related, but it's free, you're probably going to see ads or get a dumbed down version of the AI. So ChatGPT is a good example of that. The free version is ChatGPT 4 now, I think. I don't know, maybe 3.5, but the paid version is 4.0. And the paid version is where, like Mary, you said, one of the challenges is getting it to do what you want it to do. Well, the paid version has an updated language model and it can extrapolate things better. So it's sort of like there's competition for eyes or money now. And that gets confusing to us because they're all trying to jump out as the best thing. We're the best place to do this. You want AI right here. Even companies like, I work for HP, big PC companies, they're all trying to get AI PCs out the door so the shopping consumer can get their hands on an AI PC. AI, I think, will be woven into everything, but if it's competing for your eyes and your dollars, how do you slice through and make sure you're either getting the most from it or getting your money's worth? And so I really wanted to just spend a few minutes on that fragmentation and talk a little bit about why I'm recommending Copilot right now. It's today's recommendation, may not always be, and why Apple is doing AI their way and what you should look out for. So I'll just start with the fragmentation and just talk a little bit about even the last year, 2024, for AI. These engines got built. Before I get into that, Harmon, I see that hand. Sorry, I just realized it.
I don't know if this will divert you in some way, but I'm curious about the difference between the language AI working to collect the information and providing it in words. And you just kind of mentioned quickly their image creation. And that seems like a whole other kind of, quote, scraping and creation to be working with images. I mean, do you speak to it in words to ask it to create visuals? Or
yeah, it's a weird concept, isn't it? It's like,
yes, you do.
Yeah, how do you get it to turn things into things? I'm going to demonstrate Copilot for you here in a moment, and you'll see that, yeah, basically you speak into existence what you'd like to see, and that's the image generator. But the fragmentation comes where, all these engines were built, and the engines aren't a product, right? It's just the engine. You need the vessel as well. And so once these engines were built, a bunch of companies started building vessels. I'll just give you one example, and that's ChatGPT. That's now a product. You can buy it. You can subscribe to ChatGPT and you can access higher intelligence models. But ChatGPT is a product, and if you get into that particular product, other products that may be better could be out there, and you don't know because you're into one over the other. ChatGPT, let's just talk about that one for a moment, because that seems to be with every age group. At church, I lead a small group of middle schoolers. At home, I have 2 high schoolers. I have a college graduate daughter. All across all age groups, ChatGPT is the go-to AI invocation, right? If you're invoking AI, you're usually talking about ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is a large language model using OpenAI as the engine, right? They built the vessel, which is ChatGPT, but the engine is OpenAI. So basically, these large language models process what you've said and then go run the query through a larger engine like OpenAI. Well, there's nothing wrong with ChatGPT. In fact, next to Copilot, and I'll explain why I recommended Copilot over ChatGPT. But I actually have ChatGPT programmed to my action button on my phone. If I hold down this button on the side of my phone, ChatGPT pops up. And if you're a ChatGPT user, you must press the button in the lower right corner, which looks like a little audio waveform, and then just set your phone down. You can now have a conversation with ChatGPT with your voice. So while I'm cooking, or the other night we were sitting outside and my wife asked about our dog's first menstrual cycle because she's a puppy, and the vet recommended that we had one, but we didn't know what to expect. We put on ChatGPT, we set the phone down and had a 40-minute long conversation with ChatGPT where we were both asking questions and it was answering our questions without us ever having to touch a device. That was a magic moment that made ChatGPT shine. And now I see her doing it. She opens ChatGPT and sets her phone down and she's talking to it. I'm like, okay, did I create a monster? Is this good? Is this bad? But the point is that these are really comfortable large language models that we can have at our side at all times. I mean, I bird watch now. I'm at the age now I bird watch. Woo! I've joined the Bird Watchers Club. But I love to set my phone down and say, I'm in Georgia on one. The other day I was curious. I'm like, I'm in Georgia on 1 acre. Approximately how many birds are in this acre? Because I was curious. Is it 5? Is it 500? And it made an estimate. It's just really interesting to talk to because it's like your know-it-all relative without the attitude problem. It's like it'll answer questions about anything from dog cycles to how many birds are in my yard. And so that's a great product and I like it, but the implementation is going to be different across different devices. When Apple's intelligence rolls out, and I've opted into the beta and I've been utilizing what is available today, and I think it's very clever the way they do it. There's a lot of surprise and delight. However, it's not a product like you've come to expect. ChatGPT is a product. Midjourney image generation, that's a product. I pay for both of those, ChatGPT and Midjourney, but then Apple's going to come along and say, there's no product here. It's kind of the same thing they did with iCloud. Remember, they were like, yeah, .Mac and iCloud, it's not a product. It's just going to work in the background. It's just going to be your backup. And it turned out to be true over time. They're doing the same thing with AI. It's just going to be built into stuff. It's going to give you surprise and delight and make things a little bit easier, but it's not a product that you can upgrade or purchase, or you can't open the AI app and just start using it. It's going to be woven throughout other things. So we touched a little bit on ChatGPT, a little bit on Midjourney, the image generator, but my recommendation is Copilot, and I want to explain why. Microsoft created Copilot as their AI vessel. They're using the same engine as everybody else, basically. But for right now, the reason I like Copilot is, first of all, it's free as long as you have a Microsoft account. So if you own Office, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you have a Microsoft account. That's what you use to log in and activate your Office. If you don't have a Microsoft account, you can easily make one for free. And then that's what you'll use to log into your Copilot app. And so I happen to have the Copilot app open here. I'm going to share my screen in just a moment. But before I do that, I'll explain a little bit about why I recommended the Copilot app. Copilot in its current state draws in both language and image generation in one timeline. So I'll give you an example. Like, I do like ChatGPT and I pay for that. And I do like Midjourney for image generation, and I pay for that too. But to get my machine set up for Midjourney image generation, I had to not only create a Midjourney account, I had to create a Discord account, I had to create a Discord server, and I had to link my Midjourney account to my Discord server. That eliminates most people right there. They're like, I'm not creating a server and I'm not linking this. And I'm not, it was a few hoops to jump through. For a technologically more obsessed person like me, it wasn't all that difficult. But I've also asked colleagues if they're in Midjourney yet, or if they've asked me, how did you do that? I can't get Midjourney working. It is some hoops to jump through. So while these things do exist as products that you can go buy, number one, they can be expensive. I pay $40 a month to use Midjourney. $40 a month, that's a lot of money. It's, an expense for my work, but even personally, I would probably use it and pay. And then ChatGPT is also an expense. So Microsoft's free Copilot pulls in some of the benefits of the Midjourney image creator and some of the benefits of the large language model, but it kind of gives you both. So I'll share my screen and just go walk through a quick demo. And while I'm doing that, if anybody has downloaded Copilot and has been using it or tried it out, let me know. What did you think? And okay, let me see. Advanced iPhone, iPad via AirPlay. Okay. Al, I saw that hand. You had some experience or you used Copilot? Oh, I didn't lose y'all, did I? Okay. Okay, am I sharing my screen? Yes. You should be able to see my screen share, yes?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right, good. And I'm going to launch Copilot. Okay, and here I've launched Copilot. If you've downloaded the app and you open it, it's probably going to ask you to log in to your Microsoft account. So I just logged into mine. And all you see here is a field in which to enter text. And to the right and left of that field down there at the bottom are two icons. One is the microphone icon, so I can just speak to the device and it will fill out that text field you see there, or I have the history icon where I can show past chats by looking at history. And you can see here, I'm very deep into the technological side of this by asking it to make a Chihuahua with a chef's hat on or a pencil drawing of a Chihuahua. I have a Chihuahua and that's my go-to as I like to create images. But I want to explain what I'm looking at and how I got there. So from the home screen in the lower left corner, I can tap to invoke the history. You can see I've had 2 chats, but at the bottom, there is an X to close this window or a plus to start a new chat. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a plus. And so at this point, we have both a large language model and an image generator at our fingertips. That's cool because those products exist separately, but you have to pay for them and you can't use them together. With Copilot, I can just open Copilot, and I'm not really sure where we should go with this, but I'm going to just try something that I have not done before. I'm going to tell it some things. I have a Chihuahua named Apollo. He's 4. I have another dog who is half Chihuahua and half pug. Can you tell me more about these breeds? Okay, so I've got some facts on this. Pugs, on the other hand, are the clowns of the dog world. They're charming, playful, and love to be the center of attention. A mix of a Chihuahua and a pug, often called a chug, gets a delightful blend of both worlds. Okay, that's cool. And then it asked me a question there. How do Apollo and your chug get along? I'm going to say, can you create an image of what a chug looks like? Okay, and then I'm probably going to get an image. And what I like about this is we're a big language model where we can ask questions. You know, if I wanted to ask about the dog's eating habit or what, oftentimes I'll ask, is it okay for dogs to have a certain type of food or whatever? If I'm eating an orange and I want to know if it's safe for a dog, I can come in here and ask. But I just asked it to generate this photo of a chug. Now mine is black, so I might say, can you show me a black chug and make it in the style of a Pixar animation? Okay, let's see if it can handle that challenge. And then I have another question to ask it while we're in this fun little thread. Oh, there's my a little Pixar chug there. I like that. I'm going to ask, is there a difference in aging between the chug and the Chihuahua? What are their dog? Because you ever hear that that a dog is like 7 years for a dog is multiplied by 7, right? So 1 human year is 7 dog years. It differs by breed. I was fascinated to find there are different tables for different species. A 4-year-old Chihuahua is roughly equivalent to a 30-year-old human. They hit their senior years around age 8. So it's just interesting to me. But this large language model is understanding what I'm saying. It's remembering context. I'll even ask it, can you make an image of a chug and a Chihuahua? The Chihuahua is black and tan, and the chug is black. Make them doing something funny. Now, Apple is going to release their AI offering soon, and that is going to be built into the apps you already use. So if you're in Messages and you want to, wow, that's actually not bad. They're wearing capes, which I did not ask for, but I am into it. I think that's a great picture of Apollo, the Chihuahua, and Shirley, the chug. In fact, I'm going to save that. If I I don't even have to long press. I can just use the arrow key at the bottom to click and save that to my camera roll. Save it there. And then that's now saved to my photos. Let me ask for another pose. Since it remembers context, that's a pretty large feat for me to be able to say another pose with no other context and for it to be able to generate something. Now, I told it that the Chihuahua is black and tan. And when I said another pose, it forgot that the Chihuahua was black and tan. This is very common for AI to miss one detail or add one detail that you didn't ask for, like capes. So no AI is perfect that way, but I kind of want to scroll back through the timeline and explain why I recommended Copilot. Because if I had recommended ChatGPT and Midjourney, we'd be here for the rest of the night teaching you how to get Midjourney hooked up to generate images. This has kind of the best of both worlds. They're both not perfect, but I can switch tracks here. I can say, show me an image of a house on a lake with an American flag blowing in the wind. And then let's just see. So you don't have to stick with the context of your conversation. I'm now doing a complete U-turn and asking for something unrelated to dogs, but you can see there that that's pretty nice.
Help me out of this again.
I've made all my desktop screensavers using AI since I got this. I make me a desktop screensaver of Charlie Brown. It's like really no limit to the amount of what you can do with this type of thing. And notice at the bottom there, there's a plus where you can add a photograph to Copilot. You can take an image from your camera roll and upload it and have, remove the background and this sort of thing. So that is my run through of Copilot, and I'll sort of stop there. I'm happy to reshare if there's specific things people would like to see, but the point really here is once you download Copilot and create yourself a free Microsoft account, you now have access to a large language model, and you're able to generate images right in the same chat. And there's no fee. And for right now, that's the most cohesive, I believe, easy to use AI that you can have in the palm of your hand until Apple releases Apple Intelligence to all of us. You can be the judge whether or not Apple's method of weaving it throughout the OS and creating surprise and delight, but no product to speak of. There's no AI app for Apple or anything. Or do you like having the Copilot app on your device and having those conversations with the large language model and ask it to generate images and stuff? I'm curious to know how you'll use it. Another thing is if you don't already have ChatGPT, I would download it onto your device and create an account. It is free. And the language model they give you for free is fine. There is a more advanced one for a paid user, but ChatGPT is fine. Now you might be going, hey, you just recommended Microsoft Copilot. Why are you now recommending ChatGPT? I'll say that the reason I think ChatGPT is compelling at this time is because the vessel they built is slick. You can put it on voice and have a conversation with it and talk back and forth. And it's created a language that sounds human enough where the conversation doesn't sound strained. I'm not sitting here waiting for its responses. There aren't a lot of deal breakers to having conversations with AI anymore when you use ChatGPT. Microsoft's Copilot experience is not as good. So Copilot for the ease of use, the one feed you can put in large language and images, it's a good Swiss Army knife. But don't sleep on the astonishing utility of ChatGPT and the voice feature where you just set your phone down and have a conversation with it. In fact, try it tonight after we hang up. Robert Ress is out there. Robert, put that thing down, hit the button and start asking it about trains. I bet you the conversation goes well into the night.
Hey, Pete.
It probably doesn't know anything you don't that you don't know, but it'll be a cool conversation. It's just things like that that I really like to see people get into with that.
Hey,
go ahead.
Yeah. When you have a conversation about your dog,
yep.
You're on audio. Is that what you get back, or is it printed material that they respond with?
ChatGPT is audio both ways. So I'm going to turn it on and hold it by the mic here, just so you can see. And we'll just do this for a minute, and I'll get to Ken and Harmon's hands here. But let's see. I have a Chihuahua Pug mix who is going to turn 1 this November. And we had them fixed. It's a female and we had it fixed. What are the benefits of having the dog fixed?
Fixing, spaying your Chihuahua Pug mix has several benefits for her health and behavior. 1, health benefits. It reduces the risk of uterine infections and breast tumors, which can be cancerous in about 50% of female dogs. Eliminates the risk of ovarian and uterine cancer. 2, behavioral benefits. Spaying reduces the likelihood of your dog going into heat.
Now I'm going to stop it there. You can tap the button anytime to interrupt. And I could just, what if my dog gets bit by a snake? I do live in Georgia after all. What if my dog gets bit by a snake?
If your dog gets bitten by a snake, it's important to act quickly, especially if it's a venomous snake. Here's what you should do. Keep your dog as calm.
Now I'm going to stop it there, but to answer your question, not only is it narrated, so a lot of times I put the phone away from me and just talk to it. These microphones are so good, the speakers are so good that I can just set it down over here and just have a conversation, or while I'm cooking, I'll set it down and even ask it questions about while I'm cooking. Hey, my onions are starting to get brown really fast, or my sauce is breaking. What can I do? But in addition to it speaking back to me, everything it said is in text form too. So later I can go onto my phone, and in order to recall something that it said, I can look here or copy and paste this text and send it to somebody if I want as well. So I hope that answered your question. But yeah, it's a great chat to be having. Barbara, I see that hand. I want to get to Ken and Harmon, and then Barbara, let me get to you next. Go ahead, Ken. Or he might have stepped away, or bad connection. Harmon, why don't you go, and then I'll call on Ken.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Pete.
Oh, that's all right. Go ahead, Ken.
Um, what are your privacy concerns between the different ones? And then secondly, if you can, Apple's going to handle it differently, whether you're on board with the AI or whether it goes out over the internet. And I think that differentiation is going to be pretty important, and you can probably explain it pretty well.
Yeah, those are good points, Ken. I don't know, like I tend to think that all of the data that's flowing to AI models now, that yours is a molecule in that ocean of data. But anything you put in Chat GPT, any questions you ask it, I actually had a friend who was trying to get a job, and we pasted his resume and the job description both into Chat GPT, and we hit process. We hit send. He goes, "Wait a minute, where did my resume go?" And I said, "Oh, we just pasted it into AI." He's like, "Okay, we pasted my resume in AI. What does that mean?" I'm like, "Actually, I don't really know." We are sort of willy-nilly like diving into this and giving it information and stuff. I have pasted very complex data from my company into Chat GPT to have it analyze the data. It did an incredible job, but later to realize you can't take your data back out. Once you submit it, it's gone. It's part of their big database now, and I can't even imagine what that looks like. But Apple, the problem I think right now, it's kind of like when we used to have drives that spun, and then we went to solid state drives. It allowed us to take big thick laptops and make them really thin, but there were some trade-offs to that. I think with AI right now, there's a ton of processing power needed for AI, like way more than we saw coming. So it won't be for about 2 more years until all these devices are powered sufficiently to handle all the AI we want them to handle. Apple's M chips put Apple really far ahead of the game. But what Apple did also was built a secure chip, the N chip, the N1 or neural chip. But anyway, it's a chip that handles AI on board the device. It doesn't have to send the query to another computer over the internet. Apple's going to do a lot to secure your privacy and strip out your information when it does go out to the internet to get stuff. The thing that Apple is doing differently than any of these others that I've talked about is Apple has built in context awareness to Apple Intelligence. This isn't something that any other company has even considered doing. I don't think any other company has the privacy trust to be able to do something like this. But what Apple's doing is saying, we're going to learn all about you. We're going to make an AI based on you. We're going to know who your sister is. We're going to know who your, neighbor is. You'll be able to say stuff to your phone like, when's the last time, I don't know, what, something about my sister or my mother, or where do I have to be, or where do I have to go? What's my mom's address? Just all these things that will know about you. But what Apple did was built a chip on board the device to process these things and not send them out to the internet. And anything that does get sent to the internet is removed. Your information is removed before it gets sent out. Only Apple, I believe, could pull something like this off because of their privacy commitment. And they engineered this from the ground up with your privacy in mind. That'll be a big differentiator. Right now, when you're asking about dogs and stuff, it isn't all that scary. But later, when our personal information is involved, when your iPhone is suggesting things to you that are of a personal nature, it really is an intersection of technology and humanity. So I don't know. It remains to be seen. Apple's the only one building secure chips on these devices to make sure that their AI is. In fact, if I could be so, I'll say that there was a company, maybe the same company that puts out this Copilot, that had an AI feature that they had to nix because the privacy concerns were so egregious, right? People were going, "Wait a minute, you're going to know what about me? You're going to be able to know. You're going to be. I'll be able to ask you for my social security number and you'll read it back to me." Like, people were really starting to dig into the security concerns, and that's when Apple's stock went up, and they said, "We're going to do AI, but we're going to do it differently, and we're going to build a chip to make sure it's always private." So privacy concerns will vary. I seem to have gone into this headlong, willy-nilly, not caring that my data is in there or my company's data is in there. But once you put data into AI, you can't pull it back out. So, but the AI is going to know everything about you soon, right? When iOS 18 rolls out, AI is going to put its tentacles all around your data in the iPhone. We're just trusting Apple that it won't take that out.
Our data is already out there everywhere anyway. And it's, I used to tell people that, You know, if you were at the Rose Bowl game with 100,000 people there, you can have some anonymity by obscurity because there's so many people. But if you're in an elevator, you have no anonymity because there's only 4 people in it. But these days, with machine learning and the depth of the computer knowledge, you'll be spotted in that Rose Bowl when you're there for the Rose Bowl. It's just so it's. I mean, you can worry about it, you can fight it, but it's inevitable.
Agreed. Okay, let me see. I'll get back to the lineup here. Harmon, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I have a friend who teaches English at Cosumnes College and tearing her hair out at AI generated papers. And it just occurred to me, is there a way that she could put the paper in to Chat GP or Copilot and have it tell her, this is the work of a human? No, this is the work of a machine.
Yeah. There's a lot of plagiarism battles being waged, and yes, there is a provision where people can enter. I believe in the education system has access to things that us consumers don't, but they can put these texts, scan them, and it will query against some, not all, AI large language models to see if that block of text was used like that in some ways. Because I've even heard my own students come home and tell stories about how somebody got in trouble for using AI, or they got a bad grade for using AI or something like that. So I don't think the battle is secured yet. I think it's going to be a long fought, almost like DRM and copyright. It'll be a long, hard battle to chase away plagiarism in cases like this. But we hope that the honor system still has some place. But yeah, I do believe there's a small provision now for teachers to use, but kids will find a way around that. Barb, speaking of teachers, Barb, I think I saw your hand up.
Okay, I went to my app store and put in Chat GPT, and I cannot find it. You said there was free one. I can't find it. All of them say in-app purchase.
Yes. Okay. So let's see. The one you want is the one that is by OpenAI. That's the company, and it's got this white logo on it, like this. I'll just show. It's like they got that white flower logo on there.
Here it is. But it says in-app purchase also.
Yes, meaning that you can use the free version for free, but in the app you can purchase the upgrade to the more advanced version if you want to, but it's not mandatory. It's an optional in-app purchase.
Okay, you're going to pay for it if it's not?
Yes, I'll send you the $4.99.
Gotta look.
There's another one called Perplexity. For those nerds who just want to see what the competition's doing, because you've got ChatGPT, but the other one I've been using lately is called Perplexity. It is by Search and Discovery with AI. In fact, I think I can put the link in, but Perplexity is similar to Copilot in that you get images, but it also does spreadsheets and stuff. Perplexity is quite advanced, but I downloaded it and dove in, and there are some fun things to poke around at if you're nerdy about AI. Okay, did I cover that? Yeah, I got Barb, and then let's see, Mary, I see that hand.
Yeah, this morning on the news, there was something about an AI character, and a kid had created a relationship with this AI character and actually ended up committing suicide. But it sounds like it's something that kids are more aware of, and I just didn't know if you'd heard of it, and just anybody. I think there's some grandparents and stuff in the crowd, but it's like they develop a personal relationship with this person, sort of like that movie, I think. So
that scares me, like emotions are a very difficult thing, for complex, not difficult, sorry, complex, a very complex thing. And I don't know about y'all, we're all from different eras and stuff, but back in the AOL days, I found love online, right? I talked to somebody and then met them online, and I was like, wow, okay, I dated some people doing that. It's amazing to me that on the other end, maybe a machine, from now on, you may be developing feelings for a machine. It's happening. It's currently happening.
The Made a movie
Tesla
about it.
bot.
Yeah, the Tesla bot, the 6 foot tall Tesla bot that is walking around your house, and you're starting to grow fond of its personality. I think that's a massive risk. Mental health in our country doesn't seem great to me in a lot of ways. Like overall, I think there's probably plenty of room for a dark place for AI. I'm sure there have been movies about it, and also I've also heard that there are social media AI people that people are paying to talk to for years at a time, right? They keep paying to talk to this person. This person's not real, it's AI, but it remembers things, it remembers birthdays, it remembers context and stuff, and pulls on your heartstrings. You're like, oh, this thing remembered me, and it made me feel, it asked me how my presentation was. Nobody else remembered, but I had a presentation Tuesday, but this thing did. I mean, I think it's a massive risk, and it just goes back to be with your kids, sit next to your kids as often as you can, because it's the only way you can see the stuff coming.
Pete, could I ask you a question?
Yes.
The question is, if a person went to a presentation and recorded it, then came home and using message, could they process it through the Copilot?
Absolutely, yes. As a matter of fact, Dave, I tried that because not all meetings I go to have AI features like this one. For instance, if I wanted an AI summary of this meeting, I can't have it because I don't own the meeting, and I don't know if the Zoom is turned on, there is an AI companion. But what I did, to your point, was I started using voice memos, because in iOS 18, voice memos get transcribed. So if you record voice, like right now, I could open the voice memo app and hit record and set my phone down. It would record everything, then it would transcribe it. And what I've done is copied that text and pasted it into ChatGPT or Copilot. And then once it's pasted in there, I now can ask it questions about the data. Please summarize this data for me. Please let me know what the action items were for me specifically. I think that's amazing, where you can have an hour-long meeting where everybody's taking action items, and you can ask AI afterwards, what were my action items? And it'll say, oh, you were asked to do the following 3 things. That's going to save my career, to be honest with you. But there are some limitations there. An hour-long recording on your phone converted to text makes for a ton of text, and pasting that into ChatGPT, you'll sometimes see a limitation. It'll say you can't paste that much text in here unless you get the upgraded version, or same with Copilot. So there are some ways where they want to make money from you by pasting that level of text in there for that kind of analysis. But at the same time, for somebody like me, it's worth the $4 a month to save my career knowing what my action items were. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, you can record anything. You can now record phone calls too. With iOS 18, there's a record call button. It does notify both parties, which I thought, okay, that's fair. It says this call is being recorded and notifies both parties. But yeah, you can record the phone call. It gets transcribed, and then you can just pop that into AI. Once Apple AI is active on all your devices, I've been using it now for a while. It is amazing. Like, for instance, I now can click summarize on a chain of emails that's 8 emails long. I can just click summarize. This is built right into Apple's AI. And it will tell me what the emails say. It'll say, Janet was asking about the deliverables for Connect next year. Mike would like to see a draft by the 17th. It's great because I don't even have to really go into the emails anymore. It does the same thing with text messages. My sister sent me a long text today. And then when I looked at the front screen of my texts, it had a summary there of what the text said. I didn't have to go in and read the text. Now I will go in and read the text, but it just had a quick summary of what that text message said, because it was a very long message. I think these are the utilities that will start getting built in, and we'll just take them for granted after a while. We won't go into email threads and read them anymore. We'll just look at the summary at the top because it's easy. And hopefully email gets killed. Finally, it's 2024. Let's kill email, folks. Let's kill it. We don't need it. Zip out the door. Okay, what else? These are great questions, and I always go way over. We're doing really
Oh,
well.
good. Oh, good.
Yes.
Wealth of information to be absorbed. Yeah.
So I have my hand up. I'm
Oh,
wondering why, what have you got against email? A nice pedestrian means of communication that carries many messages. And what does AI do to email?
Let's see. I don't like email because of its pedestrian nature, I think. Or it isn't email I don't like, it's people who use email that I don't like. No, wait, let me rephrase that again. It's not email that I don't like, it's people who don't know how to use email that I don't like. Like some people just rely on email for way too much. Sometimes a text message can solve something that an email thread with 5 emails in it could have. Am I saying that right? Sometimes you can take a message thread with 5 emails in it and solve that with one text message. I think email just gets overused. So sorry, I don't mean to say that no email is necessary, but I think it's just people overuse it, in my opinion. And you start, like a reply all that says, thanks everybody. It's like, I don't know, people are trying to, it's tough. Email's tough. And I'm in a corporate, I work with HP and the global partners, NVIDIA and all this, and there's lots of emails going around and they all have really boring notices at the bottom and it's just, it's a mess. It wasn't made for what we're doing with it. And it shows, it's just, is your email box fun to go into? Do you like, do you like swiping away 500 ads and then, yeah, I don't know, needs work, but I think there are other means. And then what AI does to email is it reads it all for you and just processes it. So once you upgrade to iOS 18 here in a few days, when you open an email, it'll just have a summary at the top automatically. It'll say, Janet said she'll see you on the 6th. Or if it's a long thread that's been going back and forth, it'll just summarize it all and tell you exactly what the pertinent information is. I think that's great utility. Hopefully it cuts down on the use of email. It does it with text messages too. I think that's really cool. Summarize for us.
Hand up.
Oh, I don't see. Maybe I don't have them.
Oh, no. I thought Darian had her hand up.
Oh, yeah. I think she just made her.
Yeah.
She made her plea for email. She said,
Yeah.
"Wait, who would you like email?" But yeah, I don't see any.
Sorry.
And I appreciated your response.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Form email and others want a revolution.
Yes. Yeah.
Pete, I think on emails, I always stress to people that you're doing the other person a favor if you keep your information short and almost curt, because nobody in the world can says, oh, I don't get enough email. So you're doing them a favor, and hopefully they do the same for you.
I read an article one time, Ken, that somebody was estimating if a whole bunch of people would stop saying, doing a return email that says thank you, it would cut down traffic on the internet by 1.5%.
Wow. That's a lot.
I'll take that. Yeah. I'll take that 1.5.
Hey, Bob, thank you.
I might have to chat with AI about this. Yeah, we might have to have an AI chat about this later. Me and AI are going to go at it.
So sometimes, once the insertion of a microphone there in messages, people can, carry on a long conversation, knowing that it's going to be transcribed in the message, so that one technology gives and it takes away.
Yeah.
You're looking for a brevity and economy of verbiage and stuff. Sometimes some of our tools generate it. If you had a microphone, my wife is always talking to the phone for her text messages, and they're elongated messages. But and sometimes they're non sequitur and lacking punctuation and context.
It breaks my head. I can't do it. My talking brain and my typing brain are two different. One's way more analytical. One's more worried about punctuation.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult for me to do speech to text. I must obsess over where every word is. It's a prison I built for myself. I don't like it. But yes, I can relate to your wife's.
Yeah, Pete. I learned early about doing grammar and all that, and and punctuation. And then now if I ever leave somebody a voicemail, I'll say, "Hi, this is Ken, comma, give me a call."
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
you know, the worst part is there's no undo.
Right. No undo. No Control Z or Command Z.
Well, Pete is.
I,
Go ahead.
Well, go ahead, Al. I was just going to say, do my thanks, but go ahead.
Yeah. I just, on behalf of all of us here who always enjoy all of your visits and look forward to many more, thanks for showing up. And we know you're on East Coast time. You're probably like circa midnight or something now.
I'm a night owl, though. That's okay.
Okay, that's cool.
Gives me an excuse to stay up and watch some TV.
Yeah.
Stuff,
Well, the sun is rising here in Istanbul right now.
Like 6 a.m. or something. Right?
Hey, Pete, did you have any problem with the weather where you are?
No, the storm went sort of split and went right around us, and then
Great,
hammered North
great.
Carolina. Yeah,
Great.
we were really lucky, very fortunate. The little town we chose gets mild weather. It's just really everybody. I get a lot of text messages when there's extreme weather about, "Are you guys okay?" And I'm like, for some reason, I don't know, our little town, and just everything just seems to go around it. It was just luck. But yeah, doing well. Thank you for the concern. Yeah, I have an employee who lives in North Carolina, and he still doesn't have electricity. It's really astonishing what's going on over there.
Yeah.
Crazy. But anyway, thank you very much. This is again my favorite spot to be. I'll come hang out with y'all anytime, and great discussion as always. Email me petelozzi@gmail.com if you want. I really do like engaging with you via email and answering your questions and getting you out of ruts that you might be stuck in or something like that. So it may take me a couple days to get back to you, but I am always happy to help if you need something. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thanks.
Thank you so much, Pete. We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Pete.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Pete.
So,
Thomas,
Al.
Thomas, I think given the time, I think we should maybe go straight to the raffle and maybe shine the little
the little celebratory video.
Yeah,
Can I make a suggestion, Al?
Yeah.
Do the raffle, but then anybody that wants to stick around, it's nice, and that way people don't feel like you're holding them up too much.
Well, that's good. We can absolutely do that. So
and that way you can stop recording anytime now.
Yeah.
Stop recording now, you're saying? Yes,
Might as
no?
well.
Yeah, may as well, because that way we don't get taken down when he does the video.
Yeah. All right.